Yee!
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Tiffany here of Tiffany Gray Cosplay. And if you are new, welcome. I am a full-time costume and prop fabricator here on YouTube. And today I'm going to be showing you how to paint your very own Joker Queen axe. And before we begin, remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, check out my friend Glassbite Groves. She is the one who commissioned me to make this axe for her. And she has a stained glass company where she does a lot of anime and gaming inspired stained glass pieces. And also, if you missed how I made this axe, make sure to check out that tutorial as well. So, let's begin.
And here are all of the tools and materials you will need for painting your axe. Reminder that if you don't have an airbrush gun, you can always hand paint this. And I'll have links to all of these products in the description. And to first start off, we are going to prime the axe. And for this, we're going to be using Plastidip, which is a rubber spray paint. And we're going to apply it in heavy coats over the entire surface, waiting an hour between each coat until each side has been covered 3 times. And then for painting, and unfortunately, I filmed all this over a year ago and some of the footage got deleted. So I missed all of the painting stuff for the red part. But how I did it was I started off with a base coat of Wicked White. And then after that was dry, I then followed up by Pyro Red. And then for shading, I did a mix of Pyro Red and Jet Black to complete the red piece. Followed by masking off that red section with masking tape and then going on to the next color. And then for the next color, I did a base coat of Wicked White, followed by Daylight Blue. And now I'm up to date with my footage. Sorry about that. And I'll also note that all of this airbrush paint was provided by Createx Colors, and that is the line that we're going to be using throughout this tutorial. Once all the blue paint was done, it was time to mask off those sections as well. And for this, we're using masking tape. And to make sure that it doesn't overly stick to your piece, I recommend applying the masking tape to your leg first, peeling it off, and then putting it on your piece. This will ensure that all of the tape residue will not stay on the paint, as well as when you remove the masking tape, it will not peel up the paint. Then on to our next color, and for this again, we're going to be doing a base coat of, you guessed it, Wicked White. And we'll be applying this coat onto the rest of the axe, including the axe head and the handle. And the first part that we're going to paint for our next color is going to be the barbed wire, which we're going to be doing a mixture of jet black and metallic charcoal, as well as we're going to follow up by putting the same color on part of the handle. Then to add a little bit of shading, and for this I used straight jet black, applying this onto the barb pieces, and then while the paint was still wet, wiping it away with a paper towel. This will leave all of the dark black color in the crevices, but it'll still highlight all of our lighter metallic charcoal color to come to the surface. Then once that paint is dry, we're going to mask it off again with masking tape. Once that's done, we're going to go again with some of our Wicked White. This time, just spraying a little bit of the overspray from the darker silver colors beforehand, so that way it all has an even base coat when we do our next color, which is Quicksilver. And if you didn't know, airbrush painting is all about painting in layers, and it's light layers you're applying on top of the surface, so that way certain colors can shine through underneath, while certain colors might disappear more by adding a more pigment color on top. So we're going to be using a bunch of different silver-like colors, applying it in different layers to give us the best results. And the next color that we're going to be using is a mixture of the Quicksilver and the metallic charcoal, starting to do some of the layering that I was talking about. Then I wanted to do a little bit of shading in some certain areas, so we're going to again use jet black, applying it on the surface and wiping it away while it is still wet with a dry paper towel. This will leave the darker black color in the creases that we want, and will give a realistic, natural shade-like effect to the piece. And following up with a little bit of just metallic charcoal in some spots. Again, more of that layering. And the last color is going to be Quicksilver, and we're going to be using this in small amounts where we want the piece to be more highlighted and more light, because the Quicksilver is the lightest of these silver colors that we are using. Then once all the paint was dry, put the axe head to the side and then grab the handle, and you're gonna mask off all of the sections that we just painted, leaving the last part exposed, which will be the kind of strap-like piece that goes around. And for this color, we're gonna start off with a Wicked Cream onto all of the pieces. And then for some shading, we're gonna be doing a mixture of Wicked Cream as well as Jet Black, but just a tiny bit of Jet Black. Now for the best part, to remove all of the masking tape and see your painted piece. And now for detail painting. And for this, we're gonna still be using the exact same airbrush paint, but instead of using an airbrush gun, we're gonna just use a normal paintbrush and paint with this. Starting off by using metallic charcoal. And for this, I'm gonna be applying it onto the jump ring-like parts on the red section, as well as a little bit of a darker mixture of metallic charcoal and jet black into some of the other spots on it. And this is an axe from Overwatch. And Overwatch is a little bit more of a cartoony-like graphic look to it. So I want this thing to pop. And for doing that, I like to kind of go around certain sections with a black outline. And this we're using Jet Black. And I go around the straps and a few other pieces here and there. And the final step before completing your axe is to seal all of your paint. And for this, we're gonna be using Createx Colors UVLS Satin Clear. And I like to apply it by hand with the paintbrush, but you can also do this by airbrush gun, applying this in a thin coat onto the entire axe, and then wait for it to dry, and your axe is complete. Congratulations! Ah.
And that, guys, is how I painted the axe. And I hope you found this video helpful for painting your very own one, or maybe painting something else. But let me know in the comments what you thought about this video, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Would love to have you as part of our cosplay making community here. And a big thank you to all of my sponsors here on YouTube, as well as all those members, specifically those legendary members who financially help me to support me so I can continue doing this as my full-time job. I greatly appreciate it, and I will see you for our next cosplay.